Good morning, everybody. It's Ben Jones hanging out in my coffee workshop. It's Monday morning. I want to say like the 24th of May, thereabouts. It's nice and rainy outside. We've had a nice swing and shift away from the great weather of the Northwest back into the great weather of the Northwest. Today I want to make a French press, and I'm just going to jump straight into this because we're going to need to give this some steep time. Good old classic French press. This one's my favorite. The Bodum French Press. I really like this design. For me, it's a classic French press. Just going to put my press put on here. I have some pretty coarsely ground coffee in the amount of 30 gram. There we are. Multiply 30 with full immersion. I'm going to multiply by 15. I want to go with a little bit stronger ratio, so that's a 450 would be my grams of water going in. So I have my water, and when I pour it, let it splash, let it agitate. There we go. So a little over, that's okay. Do that. I want to make sure everything is nice and wet. We can give it a swirl. That'll get a bunch of it. That'll leave some on the sides. It's not my favorite thing to do, but it works. And then I'm going to put the stopper on top because I want to trap that heat. So while this steeps, I want to talk about the French press and how it works. The metal filter on here does not hold back the fine particles. It doesn't absorb any of the oils. So we get the classic, really gritty, high texture sediment, a lot of artifact left in our cup at the end of the French press. Some people don't like that so much. Some people do. It is a trait of the French press as it's classically used. There are a few different tutorials out there. There's one method, which is sometimes I like to call the patient method, and we don't usually have patience in the morning when we're making our coffee, whether we're running late or we just want to have a cup of coffee. I've already had some, so I'm talking fast. I should slow it down and simmer a little bit. All right. That patience method, that's where you kind of just like break the crust of the spoon, or you can even use the plunger, and you let everything settle and fall to the ground of the bottom of the pot. You let it sit there for, I don't know, like 8 minutes, 10 minutes. Essentially, it's let it brew for 5, knock all the grounds to the bottom, and then without agitating anymore, you let them all settle and settle while you go off and do something else for a while. It's a great method. It's incredibly effective. But if you're not very patient, we're going to try something new, and we're going to do, we're going to try to make a nice, clean cup of French press. So I'm torn now between, do I just press it how it is? It's only been steeping for a few minutes, or do I let it steep for the full kind of 5 or 6 that it really needs? Let me check my timer and see where I'm actually at. We are at 2 minutes. In the interest of time, and since I've already had some coffee today, I'm gonna not let this steep the full time. I will talk about the coffee I'm using. So today I'm using batter from Bronson's Guatemala El Valle. This is a coffee that we've been using for a couple decades now. It's a long-running one of our relationship coffees. It's one that we really have a great relationship with the family that owns the land and grows. They've got several farms, and this is just one of them. Super tasty. It has really neat raisin qualities, some nice deep rum. One of our roasters, he used to always describe it as pineapple. And this is what I love about some of the things about coffee, is that we all have little different experiences with it. And for the first time this weekend, I tasted pineapple in the El Valle. So Arturo, if you're out there, I finally tasted the El Valle pineapple. Sometimes we taste it, sometimes we don't. He was always tasting that one. Me, not so much. All right, let's just go and get on with this, and I'm just going to give this a little press. I don't want to do the patience method, so I'm going to do something a little different. We're just going to come over here. We're going to take out our filter plunger. And if the metal filter lets all those little bits of artifact bypass into the coffee, and I want to pull out that artifact, the artifact being fine particles, oils, all the texture bits, paper filters work great for that. You can take this, press it, and then pour it through a dripper, clean it up that way. But I'm figuring, if we're already going to be pressing this, why don't we just take a flat bottom paper and put that right on top. The steam is going to hold that. Just going to put that right here. And let's see what happens. I'll just give a nice, easy, even pressure. If it gives you too much resistance, pull up a little and plunge down. Nice and even, easy resistance. It gives a lot of pushback, so you still have to be patient with it. You still have to be slow. Give a little lift and plunge. Now, when I did this, I also ground about 2 clicks more coarse than I normally would. So if you normally French press and you want to try this, go with a little bit more of a coarse grind. Ever so slightly more coarse. I also made a small batch because I've already had my cup of coffee today, or my first one for the morning. I have to go into the office today, which is going to mean more coffee. And I have a training tonight, which is going to mean more coffee. Anyway, so I don't want to overdo it. So here we are. We have some French press. Let's pour that into here. It's not as clean and clear as a Chemex, but man, that sure is a lot cleaner. Yeah, got a nice clean cup of coffee. And there we go. All the sediment left in the bottom of the cup. Use the glass decanter to kind of show that we have some clarity behind it. And the real test is going to be well, aside from it only steeping a little bit because I got impatient and wanted to get things rolling, the flavors are a little under extracted, but it's a nice, light, delicate cup of coffee. That's a way you can clean up your French press without having to let it sit for 10 minutes. Just remember to be patient with the press. Check out batdorfcoffee.com for all of your whole bean and pre-ground needs as well. Thanks for joining. I will see you back on Friday.